Right, NFL Week 5 rundown. All right, fellas, let's get straight to this, man, right away. All right, because we had a lot of great things that happened this weekend. Let's start from the top, man. Let's start from Buccaneers and Falcons. This was definitely a fun game to watch. The Falcons are definitely deep in the battle for that NFC South position, and actually, it's because it's mainly due to the Buccaneers playing so much better than anybody expected this season, especially with Baker Mayfield. And they showed in this game that they were just not willing to give up to Tampa because obviously they have to play them a second time around, and that was enough to get a 36-30 win in overtime in this game. And it was definitely a great game for them. Baker Mayfield also played outstanding in this one, man. He completed 19 for 24 passes, 180 yards, even threw for 3 touchdowns, even though it was only 180 yards. So he played very well, but the Falcons just never went away in this game, man. You have to give them their props for going to get Kirk Cousins in this one. I know they paid him $140 million. Starting to think he might have been worth it, man, because that probably saved their season, to be honest. And Kirk Cousins, he threw a lot of passes in this game. He threw 58 attempts and completed 42 passes. He threw for 509 yards. It might be the first 500-yard game for anybody in this entire season. So once again, he played lights out at home. And here he is again throwing for 4 touchdowns. He did throw one pick, but that was okay because it was still enough for a win. So I think the Falcons are definitely getting their money's worth with Kirk Cousins right now. So the Falcons team, the receiving side of the ball, they played very well, man. They're going out there and catching those balls like crazy. You got to remember, they ended up with 550 yards of total offense, so somebody had to be catching the ball. Drake London was definitely this man. 12 receptions, 154 yards, and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney had 9 receptions for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. How often do we get receivers, 2 of them, playing on opposite sides of the ball and getting over 100 yards reception? Both of them. I mean, man, they played very well. I just got to give them the credit. But the story here at the end of the day is that a total of 7 receivers caught the ball. So talk about distribution across the field in this game. And 3 of them scored touchdowns. So the Buccaneers just didn't have an answer for all that attacking offense. So this game was definitely, won by the Falcons' effort. They just wanted it more. I think they didn't want to lose this game, and they wanted to make sure not to lose 2 games to the Buccaneers, because you lose 2 games to the same team in your division, there's a lot of potentials where it can actually keep you out of the playoffs. So that gets very dangerous. And you always want to secure one of those wins for sure. All right, next we move on to the Jets Vikings. Man, we're not shocked that the Vikings are 5-0, are we? I don't think anyone is. At least let me say I'm not shocked, because they're playing lights out, especially on defense, and I love defensive football. I think when you can shut teams down is definitely a lot better for the game. Today, people want to see more scoring than anything, but for me personally, I definitely want to see a lot of defense heavy, defense focused. And they're playing great defense, just like the way they confused the Houston Texans. They also did the same thing to the Jets. Their offense is also clicking on every cylinder. Sam Darnold is once again just proof that coaching still matters in the NFL. And I have to respect that, because the Jets could not do anything with Sam Darnold. He goes to the Vikings, they're undefeated. Coaching. That's all I'm going to say. But Aaron Rodgers, once again, doesn't really fully look like himself quite yet. He only completed 29 passes, but he threw the ball 54 times, so that's not really a good percentage. He's only 2 passes over 50%. And then he threw for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he threw 3 interceptions in this game. So, it's just not good enough to beat the Vikings right now with the way their defense is playing and the way their offense is clicking on every cylinder. It's just not good enough. You just got to do better, and I don't really know what's going on with the Jets, what they have to do to overcome this. Maybe it's just a reality that Aaron Rodgers is just not the future of the team. Maybe we just have to go out of our way and actually accept that. But they definitely have a lot of work to do to make all of this work out for them. That's 100% for certainty. So do the Jets go into the next NFL draft with hopes to actually, Draft a new quarterback? Is that the route that you go if you're the Jets? I don't know. That one we'll have to debate on and see exactly what will happen. But it seems like they just can't get their groove going. They definitely have great players on the outside on the perimeter that are catching the ball, especially Garrett Wilson. But I still think in the AFC East they still have shockingly a chance because New England is definitely the worst team in the AFC East right now, and I'm a Patriots fan, and I'll say that straight up. The only other thing that's given them hope is the fact that Tua Tagovailoa is actually still injured, with the concussion issue. So that definitely gives the Jets a big help and allows them to be able to, carry through this. So hopefully they'll be able to do something with this season. Hopefully it'll get a lot better. We'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. But they definitely got to clean up some of these losses, secure their games in the AFC East. They have a big game against the Bills next Monday, so we'll definitely see how that goes. It'll be exciting to find out what ends up happening with the Jets. Let's find out. All right, so next we got to go over to the Panthers and the Bears. Now, let's just call it what it is. This is the type of games that the Bears just needed to get Caleb Williams some, I don't know, some excitement around him from the fan base, maybe some confidence building, all of the above. This was the game that these guys actually needed. So Caleb Williams, once again, like I said last week, he's starting to adjust to the game a little bit. The game is starting to slow down in his head for him, and he's able to make much better decisions. A lot of things, it seems like whatever they were working on to get him better at doing in this season is now officially working, and it's just getting right now. He completed 20 for 29 passes, 304 yards, and a touchdown. Actually, is looking like one of his games at USC or Oklahoma, if you ask me personally, And right now, I would say the worst team in the NFL is the Carolina Panthers, other than the New England Patriots at the moment. So, he's not going to get too many of these in the NFL to get great practice against a bad defense. But, I hope this will be a good morale booster for him. If he can continue to play like this, have his teammates trust him, especially DJ Moore, have their coaches actually trust him a little bit more, give him more freedom to play, I think he will do a lot better in these kind of games. Being able to distribute the ball to multiple receivers, and he showed it in this game. The Bears will definitely have a chance to do something special, but maybe not this year. We have to remember they're still in the NFC North, man, and you have the Vikings who are undefeated, the Packers who are still trying to figure out what they are because Jordan Love is coming back from injury, and then you have the Detroit Lions along with the Bears. Just a tough crowd to be excellent in. Could they come in second place? I don't know, man. I think right now the Lions and the Vikings are just going to take over the NFC North. But, the games still have to be played, so what I think only means so much until they play the games on the field. But I still think the Vikings and the Lions will definitely take over the NFC North with no problem. But for the Bears to beat the Vikings, beat the Packers in a game, then split with the Lions, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's probably not probable. Possibility and probability, this one is probably just not probable, so we may just have to leave it at that until we see that happen. All right, well, let's move on to the Browns and Commanders. Exactly what happened is exactly what I expected to happen. And you know what? Jaden Daniels, I got to give him a shout out, man. He is the first rookie quarterback to throw for more than 1,000 yards and have more than 250 yards of rushing in his first 5 games as a pro. Good job to that guy, man. He's playing so well. I enjoy watching him play. In this week, it was at the demise of the Browns fans, and I'm sorry to say that, but the Browns are still not figuring it out. And they definitely allowed Jaden Daniels to shine in this game, build up some more confidence with his teammates and the coaches and everything. And the fan base is getting behind this guy. They love him in Washington. I think they definitely have their quarterback of the future unless something dramatic seriously happens. But I think they have their franchise quarterback going forward. And Washington has been looking for that for a while. They found it. Great draft pick. Good job with his team chemistry with with everyone on the team. He definitely looks like a leader out there, and they look like they're willing to take lead from him. And he's doing everything right, man. I got to give him his credit. It just is what it is. You know, the he's a threat running the ball out there. You know, there were some sacks that he definitely escaped from this past weekend that easily 30 out of 32 quarterbacks in the league right now would have been sacked. He walked away like nothing ever happened. So, once again, man, just give the kid his credit, man. He's just a great player. He definitely looks more like a Lamar Jackson prototype with some, very great wide receivers around him, especially in Terry McLaurin. Something tells me this is Terry McLaurin's first true quarterback ever since he left Ohio State. And I know he's enjoying it at this point. You know, but the coaches in Washington are adjusting to Jaden Daniels. They're adjusting to how he plays. They're picking plays that are opening up the field in such ways if he needs to escape, he still does. He keeps his eyes down the field even when the pressure is completely surrounding him. He just looks very confident and very comfortable in the pocket, like he's already figured out the game. So this is just impressive to see a rookie do. It's very C.J. Stroud-esque in his first year as well. But, the athleticism that he has just to get away. Such an athlete. He can just do it. And for Terry McLaurin, I said earlier, I'm happy for him to have a quarterback. He had 4 receptions for 112 yards in this game. So he's averaging 28 yards of reception in this game. That's amazing. I can't remember the last time he did that with any of the previous quarterbacks that he had. And I definitely have high hopes with the Commanders with the NFC East, because the NFC East right now is a little bit shaky, The Eagles just for some reason are not winning games. They're just not finishing football games. And we don't really know what's going on with Dallas, even though they just beat Pittsburgh. That's a weird one. The New York Giants, they got some of the right pieces. They lost too much, though, especially on Saquon Barkley. They still need to go get a franchise quarterback. So the NFC East is honestly wide open for the Commanders to take control of, I think. But they still have to play their division games, so we can't say everything is all settled, man. This is still the very beginning of the season. We're only 5 games in, so we have a lot to account for. All right, so let's go over to my boys now. They played the Dolphins this week, so Dolphins and Patriots. As of right now, the Patriots are, in my opinion, the worst team in the NFL right now. The Dolphins are not far behind only because Tua's hurt, but there's no other reason why I would actually say that. That is my only reason for saying that the Dolphins are a bad team right now. But for the Patriots, this is not the formula. This is not what's needed. It's not giving anyone confidence. The locker room is not on the same page. They don't really want to play behind Jacoby Brissett. But I definitely understand the coaching decision to keep Jacoby Brissett in the games and not Drake May. Maybe this offensive line is just not good enough to protect him the way it's needed yet. So we can understand some of the perspectives, but at the same time, you're almost throwing away the season. We might as well get a chance to see what Drake May can actually do, especially if that's the goal, is to throw away the season right here. Just bring him in. If you can give him plays where he can get rid of the ball within 3 seconds, I think he'll be fine. This O-line can definitely hold up for 3 seconds. The playbook may have to change just a little bit to kind of help protect him a little bit more so he doesn't get hit as much as Brissett is getting. But, that's up to the coaches to make those things work out. As for the Dolphins, they missed Tua. Man, they look so different. Even Tyreek Hill, I know he's frustrated over there. He's not saying too much, but I'm pretty sure he's vocal in the locker room in ways we're just not hearing out in the public. But without Tua, they're just not the same team, man. They can't get the ball distributed as much as they need. They don't have the explosiveness on the plays, getting the ball to the right players. As for now, until Tua gets back, this gives the Patriots the best chance to kind of take that 3rd spot in the AFC East. But even then, they still lost this week to the Dolphins. So I think the Jets and the Bills will definitely run away with the AFC East this year. No doubt about it, especially for the way that it's going right now. But that's just part of the NFL game. You still got to play the games. It is what it is. And until the games are played, all we can do is speculate. We don't really know what will happen. Right, let's go over to the Colts and the Jags because the Jags are definitely looking for their first win in this one. And the Colts are not playing too bad. You know, even though with their backup quarterback in the game, they're not playing bad at all with Joe Flacco in there. So, the Colts and the Jags finally get their first win. Trevor Lawrence threw 28 for 34 attempts, 371 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So he played very decently in this one. But Joe Flacco, once again, just look at these numbers. 33 for 44 attempts, 359 yards, and 3 touchdowns. You know, if I'm being completely honest with myself, Richardson cannot put up these numbers when he's the starter. He just can't. Maybe he has done it since he started starting for the Colts, but to do it consistently week in and week out, your backup quarterback is coming in and putting up these kind of numbers. Richardson kind of has to up his game a little bit just to make sure that we know he can be the true future of the Colts. Right now he's definitely their starter when he's healthy, but if he comes back and doesn't have a great game or something like that, these coaches are really going to have to start thinking about making Joe Flacco the starter because that kind of production, you can't just get rid of it all of a sudden. That's going to throw the entire team chemistry off. But the Colts did come up short in this one by a field goal. Both teams definitely needed a win in this one, especially the Jags because this is their first win. But neither team really did enough to run away with this game. They kind of kept it close the entire time. The Jags come away with the win. It was a fun game to watch, but I don't think either one of these teams are threatening to win the AFC South right now. Bills Texans. Speaking of the AFC South, I think the Texans are the team that are going to run away with this one. They definitely look the best and are the best team in the AFC South right now. But going over to the Bills, I'm not sure if Josh Allen looks like himself anymore at the quarterback position. He's still good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he sucks. But if I ever hear anyone again compare Josh Allen to Lamar Jackson or even saying Josh Allen is much better than Lamar Jackson, I will finally understand that they are just a casual fan and they really don't know what they're talking about. Some of the mistakes that Josh Allen made in this game just didn't look like himself, man. Throwing the ball across the field and almost throwing an interception to Aziz Al-Shaair. And then to come back, throwing the ball across his body, going to the sideline, or running towards the sideline and throwing that ball back to the center of the field across his body, almost threw a second, or it would technically be the first pick, but almost threw another pick to Aziz Al-Shaair again. Aziz Al-Shaair in the future, please catch those, man. Those will get you paid later on, and I want you to get paid. So do what you got to do, my man. You're one of the best linebackers out there. Just catch the ball. The Bills desperately, though, miss Stephon Diggs. Their offense looks completely different. They don't really have that guy that can blow the top off of a defense or be a complete threat to that defense or even back that defense up in certain key situations. Now, I don't think Stephon Diggs can blow tops off of defenses anymore. I think his age is definitely showing on that end, which for the Texans is more Nico Collins and Tank Dell that can do it, but Tank Dell hasn't been doing it lately, and I don't know why. But the Bills definitely miss Stephon Diggs, man. They need a guy like him once again because that offense is not clicking quite yet, 100%. They definitely need a playmaker, someone who can help out Josh Allen receive the ball and actually be a threat to the defense so they can give Josh Allen some more time while defending in the backfield. But the Texans, on the other hand, they show some struggles in this game too, with the turnovers. CJ Stroud had that fumble inside the red zone and also the interception that he threw in the middle of the field. You can see as soon as he let go of that ball, he's almost looking at the ball like, oh my God, I can't believe I just let that go. That was a bad read. It was the wrong read. And I just gave the ball away to the defense when we should be going down the field and actually trying our best to score and everything. So Definitely. He made some mistakes in this one, but that's okay, man. He's human. He doesn't have to be perfect. Um, he knew it was a mistake right away when he did it. He stayed calm, stayed posed, or said poised should be the word, not posed, but he stayed poised throughout the rest of the game. He came out and helped his team get down the field to hit a 59-yard field goal and win this game, which was once again impressive. But CJ Stroud throws for another 300-yard game, and I don't know how many 300-yard games he's thrown for this time, but he threw for 331 yards to be exact, one touchdown and one interception, completing 28 passes out of 38 attempts. So he didn't play too bad. It's just the mistakes were really noticeable in this game, and that's kind of what the issue was. But on many occasions, to be honest, this was a game that the Bills kind of let go. They let this one definitely slip away. They had no business losing this game. They should have won this game in every way possible. But that's not what they did. So I guess we can't really be too mad about anything exactly. But they did just enough to actually lose this game, because the Texans did more than enough to lose it. They just ended up winning it with a field goal in the end. So this one is one of those ugly type of games, but the Texans get a W, and I think that's all you can ask for in this one. You're just lucky to walk away with a win, especially after the Bills came back in the second half, being down 20-3 at halftime. But next week the Bills have a Monday night game against the Jets, so they definitely have a lot of work to do and a lot of things to focus on. That's definitely a winnable game for them, but it's the NFL once again, man. You got to go out there and still do it. It doesn't really matter what we think. All right, let's switch over to the Ravens and the Bengals. This was another one of those ugly games, man. This is just one of those games where you start to question what is actually going on the field. Do you blame coaching for this one? Do you blame the players for not executing right? I mean, the Bengals were up 17-14 at halftime. The Ravens never actually gave up in this game, though. It is a division game. We have to remember that. You don't want to lose twice to any team in your division. Remember, that's very important in the NFL. But the Ravens don't give up. The Bengals right now are not exactly playing the way they should be. They have far too much talent to be losing all of these games. To be 1-4 is just not acceptable. But the part that threw me off in this entire game, honestly, was overtime. You paid Joe Burrow $250 million, but in overtime, you're showing that you don't trust him to win this game. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, But this guy completed 30 for 39 passes, 392 yards. He threw for 5 touchdowns and 1 interception, and they still decided to run the ball once they got into field goal range 3 times, basically showing something is going on where they don't trust Joe Burrow to win this game for them. Push the ball down the field even further to make the field goal easier. And of course, what happens? They come out to kick the field goal. They miss the field goal. Now, the Ravens only have to run down the field and hit a field goal to actually win the game, because the Bengals already had their first attempt. And guess what? You don't even have to think too far. Derrick Henry comes down, runs the ball down inside the 10-yard line. They kick a field goal. This game's over. The Bengals are 1-4. It's just the way they're losing is unacceptable. Man, you're paying this guy $250 million. Learn to trust him. You got to trust him. And you got to trust him to run this offense the way it's expected. And we also know what they can do with this team and all the threats that they have, especially Jamar Chase. But you got to let him play. To me, on this one, I don't actually blame the players. I blame the coaching. I think the coaching was just too bad in overtime, and they did everything that they needed to do to actually lose this game instead of giving their team the best chance to win. So the Bengals are still not finishing games this season. Something has to change with the Bengals. Either trust the players to do what they got to do, trust your quarterback to win these games, to help you win these games. He doesn't have to do it himself, but to put your team in the best position to win these games. But let me know what you guys think, man, because I really want to know the opinions for this game, especially if you watched it, man. It's just, this is one of those bizarre ones of this week, so I just want to know what you guys think. But all right, let's switch over to the Raiders and the Broncos. Now, Denver Broncos kind of came out of nowhere after the first 2 weeks to win their games And I'm kind of like, where's all of this coming from? Because you beat the Buccaneers, and it seems like all of a sudden you have all this belief in the world that you can just go out here and win all these games. And that's what they're doing. Bo Nix started playing very well. The team is starting to trust him, even though he's a rookie quarterback. It seems like he's starting to have chemistry with the team finally. He knows the players that he trusts the most. Remember, he did lose Jerry Jeudy to the Cleveland Browns, so he doesn't have that anymore. But that Buccaneers win, I think, was the difference maker for the Broncos this season. The Raiders are another team that are still struggling a little bit. They're trying to figure out what their identity truly is. And I still think the main problem that they have is this offensive coordinator. I think he has to go, and it's sad to say that. I don't want anyone to lose their job, but I don't think he's putting Gardner Minshew in the best position to actually be successful or for this team to actually win. Some of the plays are taking way too long to develop, ending up in sacks. He's calling run plays in situations where you expect a pass play because you simply need the yardage, and then now you're punting the ball away. Um, you know, it's just costing the team to be 2-3 at this point, and the record kind of speaks for exactly how their season is going. It's not going the right way, and there's a lot of 2-3 teams in the league, but not ones that have the same exact problem as the Raiders right now. For the Broncos in the AFC West, I think it's definitely going to be a tough road, man, because they still have to play the Chiefs twice. You know, could they be one of the few teams that beat the Chiefs just with all the beliefs that is going on right now? Or maybe when they have the home game against the Chiefs, they get that game at Mile High Stadium. The altitude plays a big effect, and so we're quickly about to find out what the Raiders and the Broncos are here very soon, and I don't think it'll take very long to find out anymore. All right, let's switch over to the Cardinals and the 49ers. Now, once again, I'm still. This is another one of those teams that just makes me question coaching. Coaching matters, even in the NFL. But what are they doing? They had one great game with Marvin Harrison Jr. where they remembered, hey, we took the best receiver in college football, and in one game he showed us what he can do, where we put up 41 points on the scoreboard. But ever since then, they're just acting like they forgot about him in a way. Like they're giving him the ball every now and then, but he caught 2 passes this week for 36 yards. So he's still, 18 yards of reception. But they're just not doing enough to get him the ball, and the ball distribution is just not enough. Now, Kyler Murray did run for a 50-yard touchdown this week, so, kudos to him. And obviously, he's a threat with the legs. He can always move out of the pocket, and he's so fast. But if it were not for the injuries when it comes to the Cardinals, for the 49ers, the Cardinals would not win this game 24-23. I'm sorry, it just wouldn't happen. They're making far too many mistakes for this to happen. But the 49ers right now, they can't be themselves simply because of their injuries, man. And I really hope they get some of those players back as soon as possible. And that's, I think, when their season will actually start turning around for the better. But for now, Brock Purdy is still playing very well. That guy needs a contract very soon. He needs to get paid. That's for sure. What they're paying him is just not acceptable. But this is the NFL. Players will get hurt, and it definitely makes a difference on the field once you see who your starters are supposed to be and when they're supposed to be playing. But I do have high hopes for the 49ers right now in the season. As soon as they start getting some of these players back and can get them back into playing shape real quickly and get them going, But, you can't go the whole second half even playing the Cardinals and not score any points and expect to win. Yet you only lost by 1 point, even though you scored all 23 of your points in the first half. But it just wasn't enough to keep Arizona at bay to win this game. All right, let's move over to the Giants and Seahawks. So now, let me be completely honest. Who had the Giants winning this game? Because I don't think anybody did, unless you're a Giants fan. But guess what? It happened. So, when you have a receiver like Dario Slayton, who's receiving 8 passes, going for 122 yards and a touchdown, by default you're having a great day on the field. Daniel Jones completed 23 of 34 passes for 257 yards and 2 touchdowns. So once again, he played lights out, and that's exactly what the Giants kind of need. It's just like when they played the Browns, and when the Giants walk away with a 29-20 win over the Seahawks, to be 2-3, I think as a Giants fan, I would be ecstatic with this 2-3 record. Because the Seahawks are definitely a good team, especially in the AFC West. In the NFC West, sorry about that. Especially in the NFC West. So I think that's definitely a great win for the Giants. And now don't get me wrong, the Giants are not the worst team in the NFL, but I think in the NFC East, they definitely are the worst team right now in that division. That doesn't mean they cannot win some of those division games, but it's not going to be easy. It's going to be very tough. I don't think they're a playoff team right now. To me, they're more like the Purdue Spoilermakers of the NFL. They're going to spoil your season some way, somehow, but they're definitely not a threat to be Super Bowl champions right now. That's going to take a little while longer and some more drafting and not losing key players like a Saquon Barkley. But they're definitely in the right direction, and I can't wait to see what they do here in a couple years. All right, let's move over to the Packers-Rams. Oh, man, this one... okay. The Rams look quite weird, don't they? So is it just me, or are the Rams completely a different team this year? They don't look the same. They're quite puzzling. I don't really know what their game plan is week in and week out. They just look like they want to be on the field and they just want to play, but they don't have a game plan or anything. Jordan Love is still making some mistakes coming back from injury, but as he gets deeper into that NFC North competition, I just hope he cleans up some of those mistakes, especially with the interceptions. The good thing is he has a backup just in case, he gets hurt just like he did before. And at least he knows the team will be okay with this backup. But they get a W in here. However, I'm not exactly sure if other teams will be as forgiving as the Rams were, because they're pretty bad right now. So, even though the Packers won this game, this was definitely not their best showing. They did not have the most total yards actually in this game. Actually, the Rams had 370 yards of total offense, which was actually more than the Packers, and they just could not capitalize on those types of stats. They also gave up a lot of rushing, 134 yards to be exact. So the Packers definitely have a lot of work to do, clean up that defense a little bit, especially if you want to compete in that NFC North. All right, so we go over to the Cowboys and the Steelers, and I think this is the biggest shocker of the weekend, actually, to be honest. I'm as confused as Stephen A. Smith was. He tried to blame Shannon Sharp, and he didn't even know why he was trying to blame him. I was very confused. I don't know if it's the rain delay that caused all of these problems for the Steelers, or maybe just it was too late in the night for the time that they played. I mean, it was almost midnight, closer to 1 a.m., but the Cowboys actually looked like they were expected to lose this game. They came out and actually won it pretty well. Justin Fields, he played pretty good too. 15 completions for 27 attempts, 131 yards, and 1 touchdown. So he actually did not play bad at all, even with how wet the field was. That ball gets harder to throw around. Dak Prescott also, he threw 2 interceptions, but completed 29 passes for 42 attempts, for 352 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and that was enough to win this game 20-17. It was only a 3-point spread. So, whatever was said in the locker room for the Cowboys in this game, whatever the coaches need to just keep on doing for the rest of the season for the Cowboys, because whatever was said or whatever was done, it works. So I'm really hoping Jerry Jones for the Cowboys stops dealing with football operations. He has an entire staff hired to do this kind of work. Let those experts actually deal with the football. You deal with the money, and let your staff deal with the football. And I think the Cowboys will be in much better place in the future. Saints Chiefs. Now, this is definitely how we close out the Monday night weekend. This was the game tonight. Ever since Bill Belichick retired from New England, I got to be honest, Ed Reed is definitely the best coach in the NFL right now. Xavier Worthy was one of the smartest decisions that he made in this draft. Not many teams were looking for him, but he's more like of a Tyreek Hill replacement, but even taller and just as fast. He fits the Chiefs' play scheme so well. He plays freely out there. You know, he's so fast on the field. He's a threat to run the ball out of the backfield with those wide receiver sweeps. There's just so much that this guy brings to the table for the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are taking full advantage of it. And I'm so glad that we get to see that. He even has a record as a rookie for the most receptions and rushing touchdowns for a rookie. Well done, man. I'm not shocked. And I love to see when he gave the ball to his mother at the end of the end zone there, and the support that his mother is showing out for him out there, man, or generally in his life. I just love to see that, man. He has a lot to fight for, a lot to play for, and I think that keeps him hungry week in and week out, no matter what. So, Mom, definitely thank you for that support, man. We gotta show the love to her too. But when it comes to the Chiefs, you still have Patrick Mahomes out there doing his thing. He didn't even throw a touchdown in this game, and that didn't matter for this one. That's how good the Chiefs really are playing. The Saints are looking a little bit different from, earlier in the season. They're not as aggressive in the scoring game anymore. Their scheme looks like it's changed up a little bit. They don't look like the college football team of the NFL right now, putting up 40 points a game. So something has definitely changed, and I don't know exactly what it is, but they might want to go back to what they were doing earlier in the season, because it seems to have worked a lot better. Some of the teams that they're running into, though, also have learned how to stop their offensive progression, so it seems like the game plan is changing during the game. But the Chiefs' defense definitely tested them and shut them down to 13 points this week. So now that the Saints are 2-3, and the Chiefs are the other team outside of the Vikings in the NFL who's undefeated, who will be the first team to beat the Chiefs? Might it be the Broncos? Maybe when they go to Mile High Stadium because of the altitude. It probably won't be the 49ers, because the simple fact that they have quite a lot of, injuries on that team right now. Or it can even be the Texans later on in the year when they play them. But do you honestly think the Chiefs can stay undefeated for the remainder of the time, for most part of the year? I mean, that actually sounds like something that would be fun to figure out. But do you guys think the Chiefs will stay undefeated? Let me know in the comments, man. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll kind of go over this and see what we can do. But more importantly, guys, definitely like and subscribe. There'll be more coming, and we'll have more conversations in just sports as well. But thank you guys for watching, man. Like and subscribe. Peace out, y'all. Have a good night.